Like a typical Washington politician, it's because, frankly, I'm not a politician. I'm embarrassed by it. And if I don't always play by the rules of Washington establishment, it's because I was elected to fight for you, and I fight harder than anybody has ever. I had a very nice life before this, I will tell you. It got a lot easier. But I love this, and I would have never.
Thanks for that introduction. You know, we have to come together. That's why I'm running. I'm running as a proud Democrat for the Senate.
Joe Biden is utterly humiliated in an Ohio rally that no one but Trump supporters showed up to as thousands attend President Trump's rally in Florida. In this video, we're going to take a look at the utter embarrassment that Joe Biden's campaign has become, how President Trump's first rally since his coronavirus diagnosis was a massive success, and how the corrupt media and fake pollsters are once again colluding just as they did in 2016, but unfortunately for them, with the same outcome. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you, ready to bring you our latest episode celebrating the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. We'd love to have you as a regular part of this channel where each and every day we focus on optimism and encouragement in the midst of all the defeatist fake news spewed out by the mainstream media. Before we get into things here, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's the makers of this awesome motion detector ultra bright solar nightlight. Now you can install it anywhere because it's wireless, and you never need to worry about buying batteries because it's solar powered with a high powered battery storage pack. It's equipped with motion detectors, and it becomes an entertainment light for the patio and the barbecue with just a simple click of a button. And its motion detectors, they offer effective deterrence against burglars. And best of all, you don't have to spend a fortune for any of it. If you click on the link below right now, you'll save 52% off as well as free shipping. What could be better? So don't wait. It's a limited time offer. Click on that link below or visit nightsolarlight.com and bring its light to the dark spaces in your home today. All right, gang, so let's dive right in here. Joe Biden, oh my, he was utterly humiliated in Ohio the other day. The Democratic presidential candidate, who the mainstream Marxist media has already coronated as the winner of an election that they together are trying to steal, held what they billed as a drive-in rally in Toledo. And not only did Biden end up speaking to a half-empty parking lot with only 30 cars in attendance, but the number of pro-Trump supporters who were consigned to a distant street corner, far outnumbered the pro-Biden supporters. In fact, you can hear them chanting 4 more years over Biden's fledgling voice, which at one point sputtered out that he was so proud to be running as a Democrat for the Senate. Now, as all this is going on, the contrast with Trump's rally in Florida simply could not be more stark. Trump held his first rally since beating COVID-19. The rally was in Sanford, Florida, and it drew thousands upon thousands of supporters. Now, think about that. 30 cars in a half-empty parking lot versus an overflow crowd, most likely in the tens of thousands. There was a report a few weeks back that estimated that crowds that Trump and Biden had spoken to respectively over the last month, at the time of the report, Trump had over 250,000 people attend his rallies since Labor Day. 250,000 people attending his rallies. And indeed, during the same time, Biden saw just 84 show up. And yet the corporatist globalist media, the mainstream Marxist media, wants to keep peddling this notion that Biden is 14 points ahead of Trump in polls that we now know are frauds. They're absolute frauds. We talked about this in yesterday's video, but it bears repeating just to show you the fake news that the media is peddling here. In yesterday's video, we talked about the poll analysis by Steve Deace. Steve Deace is a frequent guest in the Glenn Beck program. He analyzed polls for the Cruz campaign back in 2016, and he recently did a deep dive with the latest Rasmussen poll that has Biden winning by 12 points, 52% to Trump's 40%. Now, again, just to give you some historical perspective on that. Were that 12-point lead true, Biden would be on the cusp of the single biggest Democrat blowout since FDR beat Herbert Hoover in 1932. That would best FDR's fourth-term election in 1944 when he was celebrating the end of World War II in Europe and the end of the Depression. I mean, that lead would best Obama's blowout over McCain in 2008. Interestingly, if you notice that no mainstream media pundit, not even CNN's Jim Acosta, has been bold enough to argue for such a scenario, since it's so obviously absurd. They'll keep pushing this notion that Trump is in real electoral trouble, right? There's no way he can possibly come back from this far behind. But you'll notice that they have thus far refused to say what such a percentage lead would actually entail if it were true, that Biden is on his way to the biggest landslide victory in nearly 100 years. No one in the corrupt Marxist media is saying that, because they know that voters would be like, are you serious? Joe Biden? So obviously the mainstream Marxist media doesn't believe their own polls, and there's good reason. Steve Deace spent some time analyzing the data from the last Rasmussen poll that gives Biden this 12-point lead over Trump. And what he found inside the internals of the poll absolutely shocked him. Whoever conducted the poll for Rasmussen, for whatever reason, they are projecting that Trump is only going to get 76% of Republicans to vote for him. There's apparently no explanation whatsoever why they weighted the poll that way, why they purposely manipulated the data in that way. Regardless of the reasons, the latest Rasmussen poll that gives Biden a 12-point lead over Trump assumes that only 76% of Republicans are going to vote for Trump, even though Trump got 94% of the vote in the GOP primaries this year. Again, we mentioned this yesterday to put this in context for you. In the last 7 presidential elections, the lowest percentage that any Republican candidate got of the Republican vote was George Herbert Walker Bush in 1992 when he got 73%. And that was with Ross Perot playing the spoiler candidate. He siphoned 20% of the vote away from him, right? I mean, it turned out that most of the vote he got were GOP defectors. By contrast, Trump got 88% of the GOP vote in 2016, in the midst of the whole never Trumper nonsense that's since imploded. So why would Rasmussen predict that he's only going to get 76% of the Republican vote? But that's what we're getting. That's how we're getting these 12-point crazy leads for Biden. Pollsters are manipulating the data in Biden's favor. And so it turns out this Rasmussen poll's absolute nonsense. It's absurd. And we can see the absurdity with our own eyes when we compare the rallies between Biden and Trump. But first, we cannot thank you enough for all of you who've signed up for our brand new Turley Talks podcast. We are now one of the top 20 podcasts in the nation for political commentary. And with your support, we are fast making our way to number 1. And so if you own a business and are looking to advertise directly to a huge conservative audience, we have a number of exclusive launch packages for you that will put your business front and center before a huge audience of dedicated and loyal conservatives. All you got to do is just click on that link below in the pinned comment section and sign up to get more information on how your business can flourish as a sponsor of our Turley Talks podcast. It'd be an honor and privilege to work together with you to advance conservative businesses throughout our nation. All right, gang. So it bears repeating here. Biden held a rally in Erie, Pennsylvania over the weekend. And it drew a grand total of 12 to 20 people, and that included Biden's staff. But that was a sellout crowd compared to his event in Phoenix, Arizona a few days prior. This was being touted as a great success by the media. Both Biden and Kamala Harris were there. And virtually all the reporting failed to mention one little inconvenient truth. Only 8 people showed up to the event. Even a local news reporter had to admit that it was getting pretty boring being out there covering this. Nobody was there. It was a non-event. Nobody came. 4 weeks from the election, and Biden and Harris together can't even draw 10 people. Now, by contrast, Mike Pence, over the same weekend, held a rally in Florida. And over 4,000 people came to the gang. The Republican vice presidential candidate can draw a crowd that both the Democrat president and vice president candidate can't even come close to. How do you even compare these crowds? 4,000 versus 8. How is that even a comparison? How are they even in the same league? Now, keep in mind, Ohio is supposedly this battleground state where Trump is losing to Biden. And I just want you to think about this. Were Trump to hold a rally in Ohio like Biden did, how many do you think would show up? Would it be more than 30? Biden can't fill a parking lot of cars. He can't get more than 30 cars to show up to his silly drive-in rallies in Ohio and Toledo, and yet we're told that Trump is way behind in Ohio. Can we take a little stroll through memory lane? Is this the first time the mainstream Marxist media talk like this to us? Let's go back to October of 2016. What do you think the same mainstream Marxist media was saying to us back then? Well, let's take a look. October 12th, 2016, 4 years ago, almost to the day, Hillary Clinton was up 9 points over Donald Trump. That's what we were told 4 years ago to the day. Hillary Clinton is running away with this. And what happened? Again, literally 3 weeks later, what happened? Donald Trump crushed Clinton by nearly 10 points. That's what happened. And what are we seeing all over again now in 2020? We're seeing the same polling firms with the same corrupt methodology, touted with the same glee by the same corrupt corporatist globalist media, telling us the very same things. But what else are we seeing? We're seeing crowd sizes that are telling us the absolute opposite. We're seeing Trump packing in tens of thousands, as I myself saw in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and we're seeing sleepy Joe Biden, barely able to get half a parking lot in Ohio filled with cars, mind you, also that he can sputter out to them how proud he is to be running for the Senate, which nobody could hear since the chanting of 4 more years was louder than Biden's feeble voice. Gang, it's 2016 all over again. Let's storm the voting booths and make November 3rd the biggest landslide victory we have seen in decades. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and subscribe to my channel. And you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on how Joe Biden's campaign is indeed collapsing as the rigged polls are being revealed as frauds and fakes. You're not going to want to miss it. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.